According to one of my guy friends, and I want to know if this is true, and I don't know if all men believe this or the men that I want to date believe this or who believes in this, but according to one of my guy friends, he said the man that you want to date, which is a traditional man, is not going to be interested in you because you are so career driven. And for me, that kind of blew my mind because I was just like, well, why wouldn't the man that I want to date not want me to work? And he said, well, Bailey, the traditional man is going to want you to drop what you're doing, and he's going to want you to, nurture the family. He's going to want you to clean the house. He's going to want you to cook. He's going to want you to do this. And if you are working, you're not going to want to do all that. You're going to come home with an attitude. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to this, you're going to that. So you're not going to want to. I was like, no, I still would. He's like, no, you wouldn't.
Well, in the eyes of a traditional man, the first order of business would be for her to cut off all contact with her male friends. That would be number one on the list. But going back to what he said, he's absolutely right. A traditional man would not want his wife working that much, if at all. How would she be able to balance her career along with the things he would be looking for in that relationship? This is where a lot of people go wrong. They think making a home is easy, and it just isn't. It's not something that you could do on a whim. It takes a lot of effort to maintain a house and to produce a loving and lively environment day in and day out. I have trouble believing that she would be able to do it week after week on a regular basis if she's tired from working all day. I mean, just look at this video of a nurse coming back home after a shift.
The fuck? Oh my god. Bitch, open.
We all know it's not irregular for nurses to pull 10+ hour shifts at least a couple times a week. Now imagine going through all that and now have to cook and take care of a couple rugrats until bedtime. And speaking of kids, if he's a traditional man, he most likely wouldn't want his kids being at a daycare surrounded by a bunch of people who could never love and nurture them the way their mother could. And her work might bleed into her home schedule in all kinds of other ways that would affect her household duties. This is unrealistic and would be difficult for anyone to maintain long-term, especially for someone with such a demanding job like a nurse. And we haven't even mentioned all the crazy cheating stories we hear about nurses. A traditional man would never subject himself to that kind of risk and uncertainty.
He's like, and plus, and if a guy is asking you, like, what your goals are, and you're talking about how you want to continue to go back to school and you want to do this and you want to do that, they're not hearing that you want to, they're not hearing that you want to nurture your family. And I was like, but I mean, I thought it was like a given that, hey, I'm a nurse. Of course, like, I'm a nurturer and I'm going to take care of my family. But in the meantime, while, we don't have kids, is it not attractive that I have a career going for me? Or I don't know. I thought that was so odd, and I've never heard that before. Because when someone asks me like, oh, like, what are your goals? Like, of course I'd love to be a mom. Of course I'd love to take care of my family, of course. But aren't they asking me like what my current goals are? Like, I didn't know they were talking about like the future. I'm talking about like right now. Like, I'm talking about how I want to like be the best nurse, and I want to be able to take care of people like efficiently and quickly, and I want to be able to be the like person that people turn to and know that like I'm that person that is going to get it done and I'm going to take care of them. Is that not also saying like that I'm a nurturer? That of course I would take care of my family? I don't know. That kind of like threw me, because he was saying, well, Bailey, when you get pregnant and you have kids, like, why would you try to work? I'm like, well, I want to maintain my skills. Like, I worked so hard to get here. And of course, my family would be my number one priority, but like, what about when all the kids are out of the nest? Like, what am I gonna do then? Like, for me, it gives me purpose as a nurse to take care of others. Like, I love that. I love doing what I do. Yeah, it's stressful, but gosh, I love it. Like, does the type of man I want really not want me doing that? Like, that's what I thought was so weird. Like, guys, is this true? Woman, have you been told this before? Like, is this your experience? Because that threw me for, I don't even know the saying, but that threw me off. Like, of course I would love on my family. Of course I would take care of my family. Of course I would do everything it took to make sure that my family was comfortable, that food was on the table, that everything was clean, that everything was sanitary. But I guess me saying that I want to go back to school, that I want to give back to the community, that I want to do this, is that a turnoff to the man that I want? Does that make him not hear that I'm going to be a great mom? I don't know. Like, that totally threw me off. Like, is that just like his point of view? Or is this really like the type of traditional man that I want's point of view? Because he was like saying it generalized. So that's what's like totally throwing me off. I have no idea. I don't know. What do you guys think?
The best she could do was find a modern man that she'd be able to go 50-50 with, and that goes from finances to child rearing, housework, cooking, cleaning, etc. That's the only situation that could potentially work out. But the idea that she thinks she would be able to constantly jump from career to housewife/nurturer on a regular basis for multiple kids, and still somehow be doing the majority of the housework that a traditional man would indeed expect from his wife, because in his mind, he's the breadwinner, just doesn't make any sense. Even if that man was to convince her into staying at home full-time, she would end up growing a deep resentment towards him. Because it seems like she really does have a serious passion for nursing and healthcare. And if she was to give that up in 15 years' time, she would be back on the internet talking about how her husband is limiting her and is super controlling. And the whole time he thought you wanted the same things that he did. And now he's facing a divorce because you need to find yourself. A modern woman's views and a traditional man's views don't align in the way that it needs to for the relationship to work. I think she just likes the idea of being with a traditional man more than anything.